Podcast. Yes. Hello.
Extra long podcast there.
Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you are getting your ears or eyes around
On
this.
this bad boy.
Hello,
Yeah.
thanks for letting us be a part of your day. Or whatever.
Thanks for tuning in.
Maybe you got us on the loop for a week. Don't know if anyone does that,
Nice.
But hey.
If you do, let us know. That'd be pretty sick.
Yeah, let us know. We'll get you on. If you listen that much, we'll turn the podcast over to you. No, I'm joking.
I'm trying to do a quick. I'm trying to share it. And I'm struggling.
Right. Eamon's doing some social media promo, guys.
If you're at home, give it a share, please.
Yeah.
Because
if you know what I mean, if you enjoy what we do, that's a great way of letting other people in.
Yeah, it's true.
And if you're watching on YouTube, you can give it a like. That does a very similar thing. The more likes the videos get, the more people it gets recommended to. And same on the podcast as well. If you're listening on the podcast, if you like it or follow it and leave a review, that also helps other people be able to listen in on what's going on.
Exactly. Perfect.
Yeah. So, Eamon, how have you been, mate, since our last soiree?
I'm trying to think what's been going on in the last week. It's been a good week. You know, I mean, nothing's gone wrong. So you've got to be a 10 out of 10. But I can't think of any highlights specifically. Oh, yesterday we were at our friend Axel's house. Shout out to Axel. And we had a FIFA tournament, FIFA day, FIFA tourney thing. And it was good fun. Do you know what I mean? Just sort of hanging out, chilling out, having some pizza, playing some FIFA. I'm not a big FIFA player. I've not played FIFA in quite a number of years. So I came rock bottom, but I had a good time.
You really did.
I won 3-0 against Axel. So I mean, I was happy with that. I got to win one game, three and out. Yeah, if you don't know the 3-and-out rule, it's basically if you score 3 more goals than the other person, then the game gets quit and the person loses. So, you know, it's 3-0, 4-1, 5-2, whatever, you know what I mean? But 3 goals more. And I did that, 3-and-out Axel, and he was the best team in the team pool. So I was happy with that. It was a good week. It was a good solid week, to be honest. I was quite pleased. Work was good. FIFA was good. This morning was good. Everything was just good. It was solid. So yeah, happy days. Nice. 10 out of 10. What about you?
I'd say 7. It's just it was a good week.
Yeah, 7.
My highlight was Mercy came back from traveling, so that was nice.
Nice.
And now she's traveling again, so that's life. But yeah, it's been a good week overall.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nothing crazy. It's been good.
Yeah, it's like a nice solid week, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Just sort of chilled out, just relaxed. You know, that's what it is sometimes.
And obviously, I enjoyed our time yesterday, even though I didn't win. Arguably, could have, but you know,
did well.
Bottled it under pressure at the end of the day.
Look at the draw. Do you know what I mean? It's just the way the draw works. Sometimes you get drawn a good. It's basically the way we did it was everyone played each other once, and then if you won, 3 points, draw 1 point, lost 0 points. And we had some teams in like some sort of random generator kind of thing, and then each round you'd pick a new team, and so sometimes you'd get a really good team, and then sometimes you'd get a good team, but they're not as good as thingy. So you know, I mean, from Hongo, Kombe won. He was by far the best player. He was tearing everyone apart, really, mostly. So, yeah, good job, Kombe. Not salty at all. I'm going to be getting practice in next time. That's all I'm saying. Yes. Yeah, right. Solid. Because he literally sort of battered me. It was like 2 minutes of
in-game. Eamon got destroyed the worst out of everyone.
Yeah, 100%.
I think, it was just like...
Yeah.
Everyone was literally watching like this. I can't believe Eamon's just getting...
It's a hard game.
destroyed.
It's a really difficult game.
Just like destroyed. It was brutal.
Thing is though, when I played FIFA, like in FIFA like 13, 14, 15, it was so simple. It was just a simple game. You just could shoot from, if you had a good player, you could literally shoot from anywhere outside the box and it would probably go on target and go in. Whereas now it's a lot more skill based. You have to really sort of pass it around a lot and everything like that. It's a different ball game.
You know, that was pretty much a decade ago now.
So, you know, at the end of the day,
that's a long time.
I was happy with winning one game, considering I don't play FIFA at all. So, happy days. Solid.
Very good. So, what's that cool cue of the week this week, mate?
Cool question of the week is, if you could live in any TV/movie house or home, what would it be? So, yeah, I don't know if I can word that any better, to be honest, but it seems like I'm not being very clear. So any sort of TV or movie home you could live in there, which one would it be and why? What would you?
When you say live in there, do you have to live in it as it is in the?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the way that it is, like, obviously, some of them are like super unrealistic and whatever, wouldn't work in the real day because that will all work and be fine in this universe.
Right, I see.
But you get to live in that house.
So even like crazy futuristic house, don't worry about the machinations. It just does it.
Yeah, of course. So like if it's a house like it's in the sky or something like that, that would work. You know what I mean? That would, in this universe, in this kind of thing, that would work. That's just the most extreme thing I can think of. So what would you pick?
So I don't know. I feel like it's quite. I think this is one of the harder ones we've had.
This is a difficult one.
I'm a fan of like technology, so I'd want it to be a modern house.
Yeah.
And I want it to be big, but not like a mansion. Do you know what I mean? I feel like
I know you mean.
I don't really have need of a mansion, so I think I'm gonna go with the house from. Marilyn gave
That's a good one. That's a great shout, Marilyn. I've seen that one. That's a great shout. For those at home, Marilyn just said.
Marilyn's just thrown a spanner in my works here.
She said the place Iron Man had before it blew up. That's a great shout. I didn't even think of that one. That's a good one. That is a great one.
Now mine sounds really rubbish in comparison to that.
Well, what do you have?
I don't know if I should change my answer or go with it. Right, I'll just stick with my answer because it's still pretty slick. It's different, I mean.
Yeah.
Is the house from Ex Machina?
Okay.
If you've not seen Ex Machina, it's about this guy who's like created a AI robot that's very realistic, and he's like a tech billionaire, and he's got this amazing house.
Yeah,
that's just like, you know, it's in its own area.
That's a good one.
It's like super clean, but like not like sterile clean.
Yeah.
It's got all this tech. I just think it's cool. Yeah.
That's a good shout though.
Yeah, but I think I would have the Iron Man one. Tony's house would be.
Yeah.
If I'd thought of it before, that would be my number one. But I'm gonna stick with what I had in my heart at the time.
Iron Man's house is solid because I think the best thing about Iron Man's house is that sort of garage/basement sort of thing, where all these cars are lined up and it's like his little workshop and stuff where he builds the suit. It's just wicked.
It's a top tier, and it's not too big, but it's like it's big. You know what I mean? You can do a lot.
And it's on the sea. It's on the coast. You're looking out at the sea. You know, I mean, that's a good shout. That's a really good shout. I think for me, two came to mind. First one was the house from Meet the Robinsons.
Oh, what a film! Come on.
Yeah.
Hey, I might watch that tonight. We'll see.
See, and because I know you love that film, and I remember like a year ago on the podcast, we had a bit like a 5-minute discussion on how I've never seen this.
I was imploring people, and I'll do it again today. Yeah. Oh, great film, great soundtrack.
Yeah,
if you're someone who likes watching films for soundtracks, they like it. It's a really good soundtrack.
It's a good. I watched the movie afterwards, and I was like, "That's a good little house. That is fair play, fair play." But my other one, this is a throwback. Wallace and Gromit.
Wallace and Gromit.
Don't you remember?
Isn't the house a bit like just shabby and like?
No, because like it's where he wakes up and then the bed goes up and he goes down and all this kind of stuff. Like it's just it's different gravy. Or just what I just thought of, Thunderbird's house.
You know, you're meant to be picking one house, right?
I know. I mean, I'm just thinking, just like so many.
Oh, mate! This is the house you want.
It's not about the style. It's not about the size. I just liked some of the components of the house. When I was younger, I was always like, "That's a wicked way to wake up." That is, get thrown out of the bed.
Right, I see.
That's a solid answer. That
I don't know if a lot of people know this house. So I'm trying.
Come on, guys! Everyone knows Wallace and Gromit. Like what? It's a classic.
Yeah, but I don't know if we know the house. Do you know what? Let me share.
You're gonna share, okay?
So this is the one this is what Eamon wants. Oh, is this the right? Yeah, here.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Oh wait, no, I'm doing the wrong thing here.
Okay, well, Cat in the Hat. That's a good shout as well. I mean, it's a bit of a wild movie, that one. I didn't really like it.
Cat in the Hat's out there. This is Eamon's ideal.
Yeah, like all the little gadgets in that. Do you know what I mean?
Like all this, whatever this mallet's doing up here. You know, there's like a Jack in the Box thing with a boxing glove. There's like
the cool little gadgets.
A slide into a funnel into like a thing into a pan. So that's that's it. It's just the little components that just sort of make that house just that little bit cooler, makes your life a little bit easier. I think it was just wicked. Especially when I was younger, I was like, that's sick. But we got shows Zion in the Matrix.
I don't know. I don't really remember what that looks like.
Yeah,
or what that's about.
From my memory, it wasn't very. I don't know.
From what I remember, the Zion, it was like some is that the underground place where all the robots come in through the little pipes and stuff like that? Okay. Yeah. I don't really remember much about it, to be honest.
All I remember is that it was overpopulated, so maybe that's clouding my memory of the actual places. Obviously, there's that massive cave where they have that.
Let us know why Zion, because that's a bit of a rogue choice.
Yeah, I think
it's a bit out there.
I feel like it.
That's a bit of
unexpected. I'll say that. That's
unexpected. But I'm still going with my Wallace and Gromit. Wallace and Gromit was elite. It was like top tier. When watching in the cinema.
I'm happy with my choice. You're always gonna get someone who's got a house that you're equally a fan of. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. The Iron Man one was a really good shout. That was that's not bad. I mean, Thor as well. He lives in a pretty big castle.
Wow, the house is it's an actual house.
What? Which one?
The Deus Ex Machina, the Ex Machina house.
Yeah.
It's actually it's actually a place.
Is it? Where?
In Norway.
Norway.
So hey, maybe
there you go. Maybe
that'll end up being a holiday home.
Dream big, mate. Dream
now
big.
That I've shared this, let me just show you what I mean. Especially being an introvert and your house is just so important. This is how nice it is. This is outside kitchen, whatever. Look at that! Oh, it's amazing. That's the house. So that'll be us.
That's class. That.
Oh, I just realised it.
Good show. I mean, I could see it. I'm not gonna lie. I could see the bottom, but I don't know if anyone else. I don't think anyone else.
Boom! There it is. Look at that. What a view.
That is nice. That is nice.
Who would not? Yeah. Can you imagine in the summer, barbecue out there?
Yeah.
The rest of the house is nice as well, but I don't know.
Go for a dip.
Oh yeah.
That's a good shout, that, mate.
This is what the front looks like. It's almost like a spy house. Do you know what I mean? It's just look at it. Look at that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember this now. I remember it a lot clearer.
Clean.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've talked about houses for a while now. So.
Yeah, way too long.
But if you're listening on the podcast, let us know which one it is. And if you feel inspired, which I'm sure you do, based off Eamon's testimony about Meet the Robinsons, let us know in your opinion when you watch it.
Yeah, because honestly, it's a good movie. I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty solid.
If you're not inspired after watching that movie, I don't know what's going on.
That house,
even if you don't like it, at least you will be inspired.
Yeah.
And that house, you know what I mean? I'm happy about that. Changing minds already.
That's what we're here to do. That's what we're here to do. Influence, change minds. You know. Anyway, let's jump in because of time. So, as you guys know, as we say every week, we've been going through all your topics. There's some really hard ones on this list. I'm not going to lie. Some of them I'm just like, I don't even know where to even start with this. So, I'm just slowly crossing off the ones that I like. And then I get to the challenging ones a little bit later on. And then probably get somebody else to come on and talk about it because I would need a lot of research for some of these. But so what we're going to talk about today, and one of them that came up was the Beatitudes in Matthew chapter 5. And I was really struggling where to even go with this because on the one hand, if we try and go through all of them, it's going to be a pretty short, it's going to be like a pretty long podcast. And as well as that, I'll literally be like a couple of minutes, if that, on every single one. So I won't be able to do it justice. Whereas if I go through each one individually, we're probably never going to get through them because there's quite a few. So I just thought I'm just going to go with the first one, roll with it, and then maybe sort of pick up on another one somewhere down the line when whatever, who knows. And if not, then I'll just do some write-ups about them all and I can distribute them. Happy days. Everybody's a winner. But this is something that's in Matthew chapter 5. It's the Sermon on the Mount. It's this famous teaching that Jesus does. Everyone sort of talks about it. Lays out a lot of principles. And I encourage you to go read it. Go read the whole thing, not just this first section. But read the whole thing. There's some challenging stuff in there, man. I'm not going to lie. There's some really stuff I'm just like, wow, okay. I just need to sort of change some things because that's different. But this is often seen as a bit more of like a simple teaching or like simple things or foundation or whatever language you want to put around this. And it's these kind of things, as I say all the time, we can often just neglect or sort of gloss over or whatever, especially if you've been a Christian a while, because it's stuff you've heard before, it's stuff vaguely about, and you want to get to the more complicated things, you want to get to the hard-hitting things, and you want to go Greek and Hebrew and read the rogue books like Lamentations and figure out what that's all about. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But ultimately, this is something that is so vital for our life. It's teaching us principles on how to live our lives, on how to just go about our days. Because you can have the most amount of knowledge possible, but if your life doesn't reflect anything to do with Jesus or anything like that, then it's all just pointless. It's all just head knowledge. It's worthless at that point. So, and I know people, I was literally speaking to someone, I'm not going to expose who they are, not that anyone knows them anyway, but, I was speaking to somebody and they were telling me all about 666 and the vaccine is the mark of the beast and all this kind of, and they were quoting verses left, right, and center. I was impressed. I was actually impressed by how many verses they could quote and were linking with 666. But then when I was asking about some of the more simple foundational sort of things of the Sermon on the Mount and the gospel and stuff, they had no idea. They could not tell me anything. And I was like, well, so much stuff about 666, Mark of the Beast, but you can't tell me anything to do with salvation or Jesus or the more foundational truths. And I was like, this is it's sort of, I sit back and be like, okay, this is kind of weird. And so for us, we need to be people who can sort of just, not that we have to quote verses left, right, and center on the Sermon on the Mount and figure out what it's all about, but it's something that we can't just gloss over. It's something that we can't just leave because we've heard it before. And so basically, I'm just going to read the first from verse 1 to verse 3. Nice and easy, Matthew 5, just because they're going to read the introduction to it and then go into it. So it says this: Now when Jesus saw the crowds, he went up on a mountainside and sat down. His disciples came to him and he began to teach them. Blessed is the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And it obviously goes on to say sort of blessed who those who mourn, and blessed who those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, etc., etc., and a bunch of other things which probably get to at some point maybe. But ultimately, I want to focus on blessed is the poor in spirit. But I think the best place to start really is just, I love this bit, because I think this is why I include it, because I just like the posture of Jesus. He went to the mountainside and sat down. Like, it's like this posture of rest. I'm just reading way too much into this, but it's just this posture of like rest and just relaxing. And it's just, and what I love about it as well, it's kind of Jesus sort of like taking all the attention off everything else other than his words. You know, there are many preachers out there, again, not exposing people, saying names. There's loads of preachers out there, incredible speakers, incredible communicators, amazing sermon demonstrations. You know, I was watching some recently, especially during the pandemic. I'm like, this could be in like a TV series, a movie, special effects going on here, like great sermon demonstrations. And but then the words that they're saying, I'm like, it's good. But then there's some people, you know, they're really engaging. But then some people who just sort of stand at the pulpit, they just sort of say this at the same tone, speaking very like this, and they just sort of, they barely move and they barely even do anything and get excited. But their words are so powerful, and often we can sort of just shut down on those kind of guys and go for the really sort of loud, charismatic ones, which is, I mean, you need a bit of both, really. I think, you know, it's not about just sort of one or the other, but like, it's just this posture of Jesus has of just taking all the attention off everything else, not going, here's a sermon demonstration I prepared earlier, or you know, here's blah, blah, blah. But it's just hearing the words, just listen to them. Simple. Don't think about anything else. Don't look at anything. Just listen to these words. And obviously, if you read it, you see how much power there is in this. And you see like how radical what he's saying is. And he starts off by saying, blessed is the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And now this verse has been weaponized by some people. Now, I studied criminology and sociology at uni. And one of the things that we looked at was society and religion, how religion sort of affects society. And some Marxist commentators, you know, they were picking out verses, this verse and like the other verse where it says, it's harder for a camel to fit through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. They use this verse and that verse specifically, mostly from the New Testament and a few others, to sort of push forward the idea that the capitalists they wrote the Bible, and they're using this to exploit the working classes, the masses, to keep them poor and keep them happy. And like, it's crazy. People have weaponized this, and you're reading it and like, you don't even have to go into any Greek or Hebrew to know that. He's not even talking about anything to do with that. He's not talking about like, but it's been weaponized to sort of mean these things. And you know, that ultimately, if you want to be in the kingdom of heaven, then you just need to be poor, have no money, humble, struggling, striving, all these sorts of things. But ultimately, it's talking about something completely different. Because if you actually look at the Greek word for poor, it's in reference to like a beggar on the street. That's what it's sort of referencing. And if you look, this word is specifically, I forgot what it is, but it's used so many times throughout the New Testament, so many times throughout the Gospels especially. And it's sort of referring to a beggar on the street. And it's this understanding that this beggar has nothing, literally nothing, that this beggar just has the clothes on the back and their body. That's pretty much it. They don't have a roof over their head. You know, they don't have you know, other clothes, and they don't have like a TV and all these kinds of, like, a beggar on the street has nothing. That's what's in reference to, just this person who has nothing. And ultimately for us as believers, you know, we can't rely on on self-reliance. You know, we ultimately, the whole heart of the gospel is the fact that you essentially can't earn it and you can't deserve it. That you're like a beggar on the street, that you've got nothing to give in order to get salvation, because it's just, we've all sinned and we've all fallen short of the glory of God. You know, and ultimately that's what the gospel's about. It's not about making bad people good or tweaking good people to make them that little bit better. It's about making dead people alive. And you know, the dead can't raise the dead. The dead can't raise the dead. Simple as that. You know, and ultimately you need a savior. You need somebody to come in, and that's what Jesus does. And you know, ultimately this understanding of being poor in spirit is this sort of kind of understanding that you know, that we ourselves, we can't look to ourselves because we have nothing we don't really have much to offer. We don't have much to sort of give, and we can't earn this, and we can't deserve this. It's just too difficult. The standard is way too high. And then we come to Jesus and we say, We say, here is my life. Here is everything. I can't do this. I need you. That's why Jesus died. If there was something that we could do, then there'd be no point in him dying. There'd be no point. It'd be worthless. But the fact is that we're like beggars on the street who can just say, I can't do this. I need help to survive. That's when Jesus comes in and he's like, yes, I'm ready to go. Let's have it.
Come on.
And, ultimately, being poor in spirit is not just this salvation moment. It's not just this point where you give your life to Jesus and you have this realization, I can't do this myself. I need Jesus. It's not just that. It's something that is lived out, something that's walked out. It's something that we need to sort of have this attitude every single day. And, because ultimately as Christians, sometimes you can feel like we've got it all figured out. We can sometimes feel like I'm that guy. I'm the guy. I've been to Bible school. I know this. I got good grades in Bible school, so I'm the bee's knees. I'm clever. I know my Bible. I do the shred every single January. I'm that guy. I've read it all cover to cover. I know this. But ultimately, the whole point of the gospel and of Christianity and Christian life and living life with Jesus is for that everything that we say, everything that we do, our lives is unto something greater than ourselves. It's onto something greater than ourselves. It's not about me. It's not about my ministry or sort of how clever I am or how well I know the Bible or look how much of a great Christian I am because I pray this amount a day or I read this much of the Bible a day, whatever, anything like that. But ultimately, it's this understanding that we need Jesus every single day to survive, and that ultimately everything that we do is building something greater than just ourselves and our circle.
Yeah.
But often Christians we feel like we're the guy, we're that guy. Just imagine that meme was like, you're not that guy, pal. You know that one. That's a classic one. It's a classic one. Sometimes it just comes to my head when I think about it. So it's like, you're not that guy, pal. But sometimes I heard an analogy like this, and it's sort of, I thought it's quite good. And it was like of a lift, like an elevator, a lift, whatever you call it. And, you're outside of the lift, you press the button, you're waiting for the lift to come, doors open. There's all these people stood in the lift. They're looking at you, you're looking at them. They're thinking as they're looking at you, they're thinking there's no way this guy's going to try and get in this lift. It's a bit crowded. We've all got a bit of space, but it's a bit full. But then you're like, I'm getting in this lift. You get in the lift and then you turn around, you face the door, it goes to the next floor and somebody's waiting on the other side of the door as it goes to the floor above. And it's a bit more crowded and they're looking at you, you're looking at them. And even though you just got on a floor below, now you're thinking with everybody else in that lift, there's no way this guy is going to try and get on my lift. I've got my space here. This is my area. This is my space. But this person squeezes their way in. And then also you get to the next floor and somebody else is there and they're looking at you, you're looking at them. And you and that guy got off on the floor below and everyone else is thinking, there's no way this guy is going to try and get on my lift. All right, this is my lift. This is my space. This is my area. And ultimately they squeeze their way out and so on and so forth. And like for us, sometimes we can be like that where we're in this lift and we're looking at people outside and we're saying to them that, are they seriously going to try and come into my lift? Not remembering that we were once outside of the lift.
Yeah.
And ultimately, one of the point I'm trying to make here is the fact that we don't have it all figured out, that we aren't the bee's knees, that, we're saved, we're sanctified, we're forgiven, and we're sons and we're heirs and we're new creations, all these amazing, amazing things. But ultimately, it's all because Jesus is literally living inside of us. If he left, and I think Paul says it at one point as well, he says, he has become your life. Or he is your life. It's this language to say that if he literally departed and left, you would just drop dead. Just as if someone ripped out your heart, you would just die. Because it's just too vital for yourself. And sometimes we can feel like we have it all figured out. And sometimes we can feel like we're that guy. Sometimes we can feel like we're the bee's knees and we're rich in spirit and it's all happy days and everything like that. And ultimately, we feel like we're in that lift and we're looking at people like, is this guy seriously going to try and get in my lift? Not realizing that we were once outside of the lift and we needed to come in. And, this is something that I think all of us need to be corrected on. This is why, being submitted to your leaders is fantastic because they will call you out on this. This is why having great friends is good because they'll call you out on this. One did it to me literally earlier last week or whatever it was. Literally I said something and the guy was like, just cut that out. And I was like, oh, balls, I need to cut that out. And I was like, I'm sorry, I repent, all this kind of stuff. But ultimately, I was like, that's like, I was going around thinking a certain way, and one I was like, that's not good. You need to change that. You're not that guy. You know what I mean? You're not that guy. It's that meme again. But like, it's ultimately you are great, and you may have gone to Bible school. You may be a great Christian. You may read your Bible all the time. You may sort of go to every Sunday meeting. You may love Jesus. All that stuff is wonderful. But ultimately, being a Christian is this understanding that, you know, that blessed is the poor in spirit. Blessed is the one who doesn't think so highly of themselves, or doesn't sort of think they're building something unto themselves, or that they're the bee's knees or anything like that, but that we're in need of grace daily just to live out our lives. You know, and ultimately, sometimes we can be like that. I think, you know, sometimes when someone comes in the church meeting even, and they're, you know, they're maybe a little bit tipsy, and they may sort of be homeless, so they've slept rough, and they smell a bit funny and everything like that, and we sort of just pile them off to the back corner, and we're like, somebody just keep an eye on that guy, you know what I mean, make sure he doesn't do anything fishy, and we sort of judging like, oh, this guy's a bit weird, and we start moving our kids away from him, and like moving seats and all this kind of stuff, and we can sit there not realizing that we were once like that we were once outside, and that we may have not been in that specific situation, but ultimately we were in need of God's grace, of his forgiveness, of his mercy, really, and of his love. And ultimately, we need to be people who can show that and demonstrate that to other people, because we are not perfect. We have not got it all figured out. Just because we're Christians doesn't mean that I'm just beefed up on everything, and, you know, I'm on spiritual steroids, and I'm like, come on, let's have it. That ultimately, that we're in need of Jesus every single day. Like, this is radical stuff, man. And like, I've felt this. Like, seriously, I have felt this. Like, I'm a busy guy now. Now this job is busy. You know, I literally leave the house at 7, and I don't get home till 7, 7:15, somewhere around there. Like, I'm literally out for that long, and most of the times in the evening, I've got something on, whether that is something, whether that's youth on a Friday, whether that is you know, church on a Thursday. Or whether that's, you know, seeing people and seeing friends, trying to fit them in, all this kind of stuff. Like, and Sundays is as we've met, me and Warren mentioned before, can often feel like a full work day. You know, getting to the building early to do all the streaming stuff, doing this here. Like, I'm a busy guy, and sometimes, like, I'm just so tired. Sometimes I'm just like, I wish I could take like a couple of weeks off, go off on a beach somewhere and just chill out and just not think about anything. But ultimately, I have this understanding, and you know, that I just need Jesus to even just survive my days. You know, when I'm walking to the tram stop, you know, I'm not walking there going, yeah, I'm the bee's knees. I'm gonna, you know, make loads because I work in recruitment. If you don't know, like, I'm gonna sort of get loads of people jobs, and that's gonna get me loads of commission because I'm the man and all this kind of stuff. Like, I'm literally, sometimes when I'm walking to work, I'm literally like, I'm knackered. I'm just tired, Lord. I just need you to survive today. I just need your grace. I need your mercy. It's this pouring spirit to just say, I'm like a beggar on the street. Like, I just need God to survive. I just need God to get through this day. I had it literally last week when, I think it was last week or the week before, we had a prayer and fasting meeting. And I literally, you know, fasting it can be so difficult, man. It hits hard. So basically I went to work, and I came home. I didn't even come home. I literally went straight to the meeting, and obviously I was doing something in the meeting. I was knackered. I had this banging headache as well during this meeting, and, you know, I was just like, God, I just need you in this moment. I just need you in this moment. I was just like, I was so tired. I had this banging headache, and I was just like, and like, I'm trying to, you know, engage in this prayer meeting, but I was just like, I just don't even know what to do. And ultimately, I was like, God, I need you. And obviously, Marilyn came over, and she just gave me this word, which was just exactly what I needed. Shout out to Marilyn, you know, prophetic, just great. But, you know, it was ultimately exactly what I needed. But it was just from this pouring spirit mentality, like, God, I can't do it today. I'm just so tired. I'm not the bee's knees. I'm not the best. I don't know what I'm doing. Help me out here. But, you know, I'm not beefed up. I'm not sort of got this mentality that I'm somehow greater, or I'm building my ministry. Someone said that to me a couple of weeks ago. He came up to me, and his family member, and he said, so Eamon, how's your ministry going? And I was like, I hate that. And like, but ultimately, I was just like, I'm not, and they weren't meaning it in a way of like building myself up or whatever, but they were, I know exactly what they meant. It was all good, but like, it was just sort of that thing, like, I'm not here to build my preaching ministry up or my teaching ministry or my youth ministry or what my worship leading, whatever you may be doing. You know, ultimately, I'm building something greater than myself. I'm seeing a kingdom extended. I'm seeing people saved, healed, delivered, all that amazing, amazing, amazing stuff. And ultimately, it's from this poor in spirit mentality that I can't do it on my own. I just don't have it. And, you know, ultimately, one of the things I love is from Paul. I've said this repeatedly on the podcast. I love this verse, man. It's in Philippians. I've pulled it up. Philippians 3, verse 10. He just says this: I want to know Christ. I'm like, Paul, if there's
strong summary there, isn't it?
Planet, if there's anyone on this planet who in the history of this world, in the history of Scripture, who knows Jesus, if I had to put a ranking on people who know God, I'm putting Paul right up there. You know, he wrote Third New Testament. The revelation he brought was incredible. He says, "I pray in tongues more than all of you." Like, if there's any, I'm sometimes when I read this, I'm just like, are you good? Like, Paul, are you okay? Like, if anyone knows Jesus, it's definitely you here. If there's anyone who you know, who is, I don't know, but it's just this mentality. And I think Philippians is one of these later writings as well. I think it's one of, so I'm like, you've done loads of stuff, Paul. Like, why are you saying this? But ultimately, it's this mentality from Paul, and you see his life. You read about his life and how he was beaten, and how he was thrown in prison multiple times, and how he was stoned. One of my favorite stories is I think it's just the coolest thing ever. Paul is preaching. He's stoned. He's thrown out the city because he thinks he's dead. So some of his followers and stuff get around him, and he just gets back up and walks back in the city and starts preaching again. I'm like, how? Yeah. Like, that's mental. Like, why would you do that? I'll be gone there. I'll be like stoned. Okay, I'm out of here.
Peace.
Yeah, I'm like, see ya. But the thing is, it's like Paul had just this mentality of, I want to know Christ. I just want to know him greater. I want to know him deeper. Like, I can't do this. Like, he's like, you see the suffering that Paul went through, and many of the early church, the disciples, and they just had this poor in spirit mentality to say that it's not about me, it's not about my ministry or growing my church or, you know, doing this, that, or whatever, releasing books and worship albums. I'm just trying to think of everything I can think of, so it doesn't look like I'm coming at a certain group, but you know what I mean? Like, it's not about all that. It's just about seeing this kingdom extending, people saved, healed, delivered, seeing the church come to maturity as well.
Yeah.
The church come to maturity, because that's something that we often just so outwardly focus on. We forget how the church needs to grow and come into maturity. And ultimately, it's from this mentality of just, I want to know him. I just have this hunger and this thirst just to know him in a deeper, like this beggar on the street to just with his cup saying, I just need you to, I need donations to survive. And ultimately, I just need Jesus. I just need you to survive. Yeah. And, you know, like, ultimately, there's no reaching the summit. I love like the mentality of humans is like, okay, so we live on the ground. What can we do? Let's climb Mount Everest, tallest mountain on the earth. We've done that. Okay, great. What's next? Let's fly in the sky. So we did that. Then it was like, let's fly even further in the sky. So we did that. And then it's like, let's go to space and orbit the earth. We did that. So where can we go next? Let's go to the moon. And then now we're planning to go to Mars. And I don't even know what's going to be beyond going to Mars. Probably just like traveling around in space, doing stuff. I don't know. But ultimately, like, human thinking doesn't limit ourselves to a certain peak or a certain pinnacle or like a certain milestone. We weren't like, great, Mount Everest, tallest mountain on earth, bing bang bosh, job's done. Let's just enjoy our lives. It was like, where can we go next? And ultimately, in Christ, that's this mentality that Paul had. It's just like, I can go deeper, I can go further. There's something new and fresh to discover of God. And you know, this poor in spirit mentality of just saying, like, God, I don't have it all figured out. I've not reached the heights. I've not reached the peak and the pinnacle there's somewhere further, there's somewhere deeper. And I just need you to survive. I need you to get through life. I need you to just help me out in this moment. We see this in various points in the scriptures. You know, in the book of Luke, you see this prostitute, one of my favorite stories. I think it's my top 2 favorite stories. I don't want to put it as number 1, because that's a big claim. So I'm putting it as top 2 stories. This prostitute, you know, Jesus invited to this party, the Simon the Pharisee's party, and this woman just barges in this pie and just makes a beeline for Jesus' feet, and she starts worshiping him. And like everyone in this room knows that she's a prostitute and she's like the lowest of the low, you know. Even Simon the Pharisee even says in his mind, he says it in the scriptures, he says, if this man were a prophet, he would know what type of woman this is, for she's a prostitute. He's like saying that she's the bottom of the barrel. She's not worthy of even being here in his presence, never mind being at this guy's feet. But she just had this mentality of just like this pouring spirit, just saying, I just need this man. And I don't know what it was that sprung that on. I don't know what it was that sort of made her like that. I don't know what she saw or what miracle she must have been a part of or whatever. But ultimately, she just went straight for the feet to worship this guy and to be like, I don't care what people think. I don't care what people say. I'm not here to sort of build myself up or you know, look after my reputation or whatever. I'm just here to just come to this man because I just need him. Yeah. And ultimately, she got exactly what she needed in that moment because he says, go, your sins are forgiven. And it's this mentality, this pouring spirit that she's not got it figured out, that she just needs to come to the feet of Jesus. I was reading this week on the tram, Acts chapter 9, Ananias. When Paul, formerly Saul, you know, has this encounter with Jesus, he's in this place and Ananias is told, go and sort of go talk to, basically go sort Paul out. And he's like, Paul, he's like, Saul, like the geezer who's basically killing Christians, throwing Christians in prison, persecuting the church, like ravaging the church like crazy. Are you sure this guy? And he's also like, and he's like, yeah, go. So he goes, and the first thing he says, he calls him brother. I'm just like, that is mental to me. So I'm like, you know what type of guy this is, but you've just called him brother. It's this pouring spirit thing, not to judge, not to sort of cast somebody aside, but just to say, I don't have it figured out. This guy's ravaged the church. I've not done anything that bad, but ultimately I've sinned as well. So, and the Lord has got something for him because he says, you know, he's going to preach to the Gentiles, and you see the impact that Paul has. But it's sad because of this point where Ananias just says, brother, this pouring spirit mentality, just to sort of say, I don't have it figured out. This is why submission, doing what God says, is so important. Because ultimately, you're on the bee's knees. I'm sorry to say it. You may be great, you may be good at what you do, all this kind of stuff, but you know, you need him. Regardless of who you are, regardless of how big your church is, regardless of what you do, how clever you are, or whatever, how great of a preacher you are, you need Jesus. I do. Warner does. This way. Warner does. Everybody does. We just need him. And, you know, ultimately, you know, in the natural, you get hungry by not eating, but in the spiritual, you get hungry by eating. The more you eat, the hungrier you become. And ultimately, the more of God you seek, the more of him that you want, the more of him that you just have to dive in and say, God, I just need something more for you.
Yeah.
And ultimately, you know, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for this. Simple. I wouldn't be here. Like, honestly, as I mentioned earlier, you know, some days I'm just like, why? What's going on? Why do I do this stuff? Like, but ultimately, I'm just like, God, I just need you to get through this day. I just need you to help me out. I just need you to give me grace for this or to give me grace for that. And you know, this is radical stuff. And I pull up. So I spoke to my mate Wes. Some of you guys will know Wes. He's from Merthyr. And I said, this is like his bag. Do you know what I mean? This is his bread and butter. So I was like, bro, give me something. Just that. I was just like, speak to me, talk to me. And he said this quote, and I was like, yes, bro. Like I was at work and I just read it at my desk, and I just had to take like 5 minutes. I literally just went outside. I was like, that is mega. And he said this. He said, if you're deluded by the idea that you're rich in spirit, then you will struggle to see your need for grace.
That's good. That's a really good summary.
I'll say it again, man. If you're deluded by the idea that you're rich in spirit, then you'll struggle to see your need for grace. You know, if you're deluded by this idea, if you think that you're rich in spirit, that you've got it all figured out, that you're a Christian, God loves you, everything like that, and yeah, I'm great, I'm amazing, then you'll struggle to ever see the need for grace. You'll struggle to ever see the need for Jesus. And slowly but surely, he'll become less and less more important. He'll become less and less important, and everything else will become more and more important. And that's where great leaders fall. That's where great Christians sort of seem to go off the rails. But ultimately, being poor in spirit is not just you sort of beating yourself up all the time and sort of saying, oh, I'm the worst and I need to do better. No, you're not a monk. Do you know what I mean? You're not like a monk, these old-fashioned monks where you shave your head and you have to get rid of all your belongings. You get one pair of clothing. And like you have to be in silence for most of the day and all this kind of stuff, because that's what being poor in spirit means, because you're not wanting anything. It's not about that. But what it's about is this understanding that that he is your life and that you need him every single day. I do. I definitely do. Seriously. 100%. Most of my conversations in the morning with the Lord are just like, Lord, I just need you today. I don't know what I'm doing. But that, that's it. That ultimately we just need to be people who are poor in spirit, just to say, God, I just need you, like a beggar on the street. A beggar will literally sit there on the street with nothing, and they'll rely on other people's donations and rely on what other people give them in order to survive. If they don't get anything from anyone, they die. And so when we're poor in spirit, it's that same thing of being having this mentality of just being and this mentality of just thinking, I just need him to survive today. If I don't have him, then I'm just dead. It's just worthless. It's pointless. So yeah, there you go. Any thoughts? Hit me.
That's
Come
brilliant.
on.
Love it. I just really I had to look at the Greek, and one of the ways in the Greek that it's explained is that someone poor is someone completely lacking resources.
Yeah.
And I think that's such a positive mindset to have as a Christian, which is kind of weird to say. But the more that you can think on a daily basis, I'm completely within myself, I'm completely lacking the resources that I need to live the life that Jesus wants me to live. Instantly puts you in that place of Jesus, please provide whatever strength I need. Or if you're going into a situation and you feel like I'm completely lacking resources, that is an opportunity to function in your optimum, because then you can rely on God. And I think that's something that we don't really kind of we don't highlight often, but it's the key to humility in the kingdom is really is saying, without God, I'm nothing. Even with all the stuff I've done, it doesn't matter if I don't have Jesus today. And that's just great. It's a great place to be, especially as society becomes more and more based off accolade and celebrity and just chasing things, and a lot of it is about your grind and your hustle and what are you gonna do with all this stuff. And the kingdom of God is completely different. It's not about what you can do. It's about how reliant are you going to be on Jesus. And as you're saying, the more reliant you are on Jesus, the more reliant you become on Jesus. And the less reliant you become, the less reliant. Whatever you feed is what you grow hungrier for. Love that. That was brilliant, mate. Thanks very much, guys, for joining us.
Yeah,
I am very tired. I came back from traveling, so I'm now gonna go rest.
Do it, mate. Chill out. Kick your feet up.
If you enjoyed it though, and Eamon, let him know if it encouraged you. And we'll see you again next time, guys. Thanks so much.
See you next week.
Bye.